Hello to everyone out there on IG and YouTube. It's Makeda Voletta, also known as the Body Scientist. And for those of you who do not know me, I have a background in exercise and sports science and nutrition science and also biotechnology. I started off as a biotechnology major for 2 years, so I was very much into studying genetics, microbes, viruses, bacteria, and I used to back then I wanted to get a PhD in biotechnology and research cures for genetic diseases. That was my goal. And then I got into exercise and sports science and nutrition science, okay? And so a lot of people don't realize that nutrition science and exercise science is a lot of the same chemistry that pharmacologists take and doctors take. I've taken a lot of biochemistry as a lot of nutritional biochemistry, right? And the graduate program that I was in, so I graduated from the University of Delaware with a Bachelor of Science in Exercise and Sports Science, concentration in Strength and Conditioning, and a minor in Sports Nutrition. And sports nutrition is about eating for physical exertion, so you have the strength to get through something, right? And then I went to a graduate school at Teachers College at Columbia University for applied physiology and nutrition education. And the program that I was in was the only program in the United States that did not take money from the food industry, okay? All the nutrition programs in the United States are funded by the food industry, the same way all of the medical programs in the United States are funded by the drug companies, okay? And really, the food companies and the drug companies are really the same people. You have the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, right? And there's a lot of politics with food and drugs. And the food companies are even more powerful than the drug companies. People keep talking about the drug companies. They have no idea how powerful the food companies are. There's a book called Food Politics by Marion Nestle. I have it posted on my Instagram page. Read that book and you will understand, okay? It's way, way deeper than you think. And we are being poisoned by the food way more than you think. And this is the reason why I wasn't lined up for Popeye's chicken sandwiches and why I don't eat at Denny's and IHOP, why that is never an option, why I will not get coffee from McDonald's, because you don't understand that these food companies, they're selling us, the commercial food industry is selling us very tainted, poisoned food, okay? So, with this coronavirus issue, right, one thing that nobody is being told and that nobody is saying to us is that the number one thing that you can do right now is to get your immune system up, okay? Because if you get the virus and you're not dying and you get put on a ventilator, which a lot of younger people are being put on ventilators, people think that this is only older people. A lot of the younger people aren't dying per se, even though some have. But a lot of younger people are being put on ventilators. And when that virus goes through you, people's, they have holes in their lungs. A lot of people have reduced lung capacity, 30% reduced lung capacity. Who wants that problem at any age? That's a serious issue, right? To have lingering effects. Now, if you're not so sick that you need to be on a ventilator, all they tell you is, oh, you have to let it run its course. There's nothing we can do for you, right? So they don't give anybody any advice about what they can do to actually, improve their immune system, prevention, just saying wash your hands and don't touch your face. And if you get it, you just have to let it run its course. Nobody is telling people you should be consuming bone broth. All over the world, people can consume chicken broth when they were sick. I don't care where they're from in the world. If you're watching this video and your grandmother or your mother gave you chicken broth when you were a kid or some other kind of animal broth when you were sick, please write that below on this YouTube channel. Now is the time to share these stories because we have to go back to basics right now. We have to go back to basics because there's about to be a food shortage. Let me tell you. At first, they were saying Americans were panicking. I don't think that Americans are panicking. And I don't think that the news is overly exaggerating and trying to instill fear. I don't think either one of those are true. I think that what is happening is a new world order. After we come out of this, our society is not going to be the same. I think a lot of our privacy will be gone. I think that if you don't realize how to live with nature and extract, nutritious foods and figure out how to really heal yourself, then you will peril. Because right now, only the strong will survive. Okay, so this coronavirus is extremely infectious. But the thing is, I've been telling people for years, okay, when I told people why it's important to take probiotics, I've been telling people for years that you never know when you're going to be exposed to infectious disease. And when you are exposed to infectious disease, when we find out about an outbreak of something in the food or whatever, when we find out about that stuff, it's too late. It's already been out there. Somebody already died, okay? So that's why you always have to be ready. And you have to always do your very best to take care of yourself, because when you don't, okay, when your defenses are down, that's when things can attack, okay? Just like a lot of people focus on that in the physical realm, where, they want to have their guns and they want to have their weapons to defend against somebody who might try to rob them or break in their house. But they're not thinking about that in their body. When you're not giving it starts with nutrition. Before the herbs and all the herbs that will heal, before that, it starts with the food that you're eating. If you are chronically low in vitamin D, vitamin A, vitamin C, iron and certain fats, your immune system, saturated fats, certain animal fats, which are really important, which I've been telling people, then your immune system can't function on the way it's supposed to, right? And the food system, the graduate program that I was in, not only did the program, it didn't take money from the food industry, but the program also made us take a class about global food issues, okay? Global food issues. That a lot of people, you never hear nutritionists and dietitians talk about who come on TV. And so the main point was sustainable agriculture, why that's important. Sustainable agriculture. And so if you want to know what sustainable agriculture is, it is being able to feed yourself from foods that is around you. Seasonal, local foods. That is how we are all supposed to be eating. And this is why for a very long time, I have said that vegans, are contributing to putting the earth out of balance, okay? And vegans are also coming from a privileged place. Because if you live in New York or Chicago or Philly or Canada or the Bay Area or, any of those places, and you over here consuming coconuts in the winter and mangoes and bananas and avocados, none of that stuff came from your local environment. That stuff came from another country or across the country, okay? So what happens if the borders get shut and we can no longer accept food from another country? What happens if we can't accept food from another state? Then that means you're going to have to eat what's in season and what's around you. So you'll no longer have the ability to go to the supermarket and just say, I want these things, and be able to get these things. Also, you'll have to eat things as they're available. And I can tell you that in my experience in Cuba, I've been to Cuba 5 times. In Cuba, you cannot go there and say, oh, when I go to Cuba, I'm gonna cook my own food. And I'm going to make some chili, and I want to make, this for breakfast. You don't have that freedom in Cuba. I remember the very first time I went to Cuba, and I asked for the supermarket, and I go across the street, and Cuba has huge structures, okay? Huge buildings, huge ceilings, huge. I go into the store, you know what? There was nothing on the shelf. There was nothing on the shelf. There was like 3 rolls of toilet paper and something else. There was nothing there. And so in Cuba, the food is rationed, okay? The food is rationed out to the people that live there. So they're not starving, but they don't have a huge choice in what they get to eat. They're eating stuff that's local, okay? And one thing about Cuba is that a lot of their produce, they grow locally, and it's not big monocrops. The U.S. and a lot of the world has monocrops. California is an environmental wasteland because of the monocrops, where for miles they're growing the same species of bananas. For miles they're growing the same species of oranges. And that depletes the soil, for one. And also, they're growing it in the desert. How are you growing bananas and tropical fruit in the desert? That's really bad for the environment, and it depletes the soil, and it creates nutrient deficient food. Then The food is sprayed up with all these chemicals, more chemicals than you guys realize. And these chemicals do way more to us than you realize. People are always talking about the meat and the milk. They spray chemicals, tons of it, and irradiate, expose our produce to radiation, okay, to kill the bacteria on it. And then they're picking the stuff when it's not ripe, and they're shipping it across the country. They're shipping it into the country from someplace else. The food that comes into this country is not inspected, okay? It's not inspected by anybody. So bioterrorism is actually very easy to do in the food supply, okay? So even people debating about whether this is bioterrorism or whether it came from, it doesn't matter. It could be either one. Yes, it could be bioterrorism, and yes, it could be from a nasty market in China. It could be either one. It doesn't matter. And this is not going to be the last. This is not going to be the last. So the thing is the point is understanding for yourself. This is what I've been doing my whole adult life, is educating people. Even when I work with my clients, I don't just tell people eat this, eat that. I educate them on how to understand what they're eating. How do you understand what do you need? Like, what are the nutrients you need? When you eat, do you think, what's my source of vitamin D? What's my source of vitamin A? What's my source of vitamin K? What's my source of iron? Am I getting enough long-chain saturated fats? Am I getting enough omega-3 saturated fats? And if so, what foods am I getting them from? Are you thinking those things? Because if you're not thinking those things and conscious of those things, and you're over here eating a low-fat diet and eating stuff from Popeyes all the time and eating stuff from the bodega down the street and you think it's cool, and you're exposing, not only are you nutrient deprived, but you're exposing yourself to a whole slew of chemicals that your body has to continuously try to figure out what it is, try to fight it off. Now you get exposed to something and your system is not strong like it should be to help you, okay? So when there's a food shortage, because I think there's going to be a food shortage this year. I just came from the supermarket, and I'm in Chicago. And Chicago and New York, I know, is about to get locked down. And this is the thing we can learn about looking around the world, okay? Is that everything that you see that happens in another city or another country, it eventually happens where you are too, okay? So right now in like Spain, you can't, if you leave the house and you go someplace, you have to have a note and you have to have proof of where you're going. If you say that you're going to your family's house across the city, you have to have proof that you actually have family across the city, right? In Israel, they are tracking people's phones, okay? In Israel, they're tracking people's phones so they know where you're going and who you've been around. I can see that coming to us too. And I can see privacy being a thing of the past, okay? But when it comes to the food, okay, all along, we were supposed to be getting food from our local farmers, sustainable agriculture. We have taken it for granted that we can get avocados, bananas, coconut water, all this stuff that came from South America and the Caribbean all year round. Things that are out of season and things that don't come from your local environment. We have taken that for granted. So now, if there's no way to get all this food, or what happens if a virus spreads through the food system? Like when I say the food system, I mean the farms. What happens if there are no crops? Okay? What happens if there's no crops because there's not enough rain, or there's too much rain and the earth is out of balance, or because a virus goes through these crops and the soil is depleted? What happens then when we really don't have food? What happens then? So the thing is, it's always been important for us to be focused on, sustainable agriculture, getting things from a local environment, eating seasonal foods, and knowing where our food comes from, and not dealing with this big commercial food industry. So when it comes to even preparing for what's going to happen, I highly suggest that people stock up on, organic meats, go to the farmer's market, freeze some good quality meats, some broth, start learning how to make broth with bones. Because when I went to the supermarket, there was no broth, okay? Also, when I went to the supermarket, is now in Chicago, there was so many people outside. There's more people outside than there's normally outside. And I know that this virus is very airborne. They're not telling us the whole truth. They're saying, oh, just wash your hands and don't touch your face. But the thing is that I believe you can get this virus from dogs and pets. I already thought that, and now I just saw a report that a dog just died of the coronavirus. Sorry to the dog lovers out there. But if dogs start infecting people with coronavirus, they gotta go. I don't know. That's number one. But I have intuitively felt that, because people share microbiomes with their pets, okay? So if whatever pet you have in your house, you share some of their pet bacteria and microbiome. Also, this virus is highly infectious and very airborne, okay? So it lingers in the air for long periods of time. So when they tell people, oh yeah, you can go outside for a jog, I think all that's going to stop. They stopped it in Spain. You can't go outside and ride your bike. And honestly, when I saw on TV in San Francisco, I saw a lot of people in San Francisco jogging, walking. But to me, you can spread the disease that way because people are huffing and puffing and breathing. And then that stays in the air, right? So this person runs by and breathes, and now you walk into to that air, and now you get, you know what I'm saying? It's all around us. So the number one thing that you can do is to get your immune systems up, people. I do not think that this is an exaggeration, because if you do math, like right now, it may not seem like it's a lot of people, but if you do math, okay, and you see that the growth every day, there's going to be a lot of people by the end of the month, okay? And even if you don't die from it, it is making people very, very sick. Another thing about the coronavirus is that it's not just respiratory issues. People are also having gastrointestinal issues. The virus can also cause you to have diarrhea and to vomit, okay? And I'm going to do a video about that tomorrow. I have some more scientific videos I will do tomorrow on this, because I've been steadily researching. But it's important to stock up. Like, I got 2 gallons of raw milk. I might start to freeze some of my raw milk. You have to, and just now when I was in the store, and there was a lot of things that wasn't there, okay? There was a lot of things that wasn't there, and I think that's going to be our new normal. Because we've all contributed to being selfish and being used to get what we want whenever we want. Everywhere in America, I don't care what city or town you're in, if you went to the supermarket, there was bananas, okay? 365 days of the year, there were oranges, there were strawberries, there were mangoes, there were potatoes, all these things, right? Americans would be upset if they went to the supermarket in the past and they didn't have things like that. But now, we're about to see the effects of how out of balance things have been on this planet, and that includes with our food. And this virus, people talk about 5G, but it's not just 5G. There's a lot of things that are contributing to how this can be made worse. 5G technology is one of them. That is real, okay? But also, and I'm going to do, more videos in the next couple days to educate you guys on these things. But it's also the fact that most people are severely nutrient deficient, okay? So they're already in a weakened state. And so I think that a lot of homeless people, I think that a lot of homeless people and a lot of people in elderly and old folks' homes, I think are going to die, okay? Also, and I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying I think there's going to be a huge percentage. People who are really immunosuppressed. And there are people who don't realize, okay, who don't realize how weak their body is and their immune system is, and they won't realize it until they get sick. But food shortages is a real thing. So it's time to start looking at your farmers markets. Wherever you live, there's always farmers markets. Look at the farmers markets. Try to get the best quality meat you can get. And that's what I was going to say. When I was in the store just now, I was also thankful for the fact that I'm able to at least get these foods. Because another problem is that getting food that's organic and local and not full of chemicals is actually more expensive than just buying the bad quality stuff, right? And some people don't have the access to it. They literally don't. So you could tell them all day about this, but they don't have the access to it. So I'm glad that I'm able-bodied, because even if they shut off public transportation in Chicago, Whole Foods is like a mile and a half from me. I can walk a mile and a half to the supermarket and back because I'm healthy and I'm able-bodied. But for the people who are not able to do that, for the people who just they can't scrape up the money to even get good quality butter and stuff like that, I fear for those people. So in gratitude and thankful that I can at least do what I need to do to take care of myself, and that I've been doing that, you know. But this is going to be the critical thing. And, you know, check out the other videos that I've done on the coronavirus and just on immunity and probiotics. I'm going to put them below this YouTube video. I'll put some other links for you to look at. And like I said, I will be doing a lot more videos in the coming days. If you have things that you want me to talk about, just write it below on my YouTube video. But yeah, people, I do think it's time to get prepared. I think it's time to not hoard, but stock up on good quality foods. Learn how to can your fruits and vegetables and preserve them, because there's going to be a shortage. And start to look at your local farms and trying to get local foods, you know, because we're going to have a new normal of understanding that we can't just exploit the planet the way we've been exploiting it and be able to get all this out-of-season produce, you know, 365 days of the year that comes from another country or across the country. That's all going to come to an end. And so I think when we come out of this, we're going to be in a different place for the better and for the worse, depending on how you look at things, you know. I think a lot of our privacy might be gone, but I think a lot of people also will have more of a consciousness of how to really take care of themselves, okay, and how to be more resourceful, and how to stop being so wasteful, and how everything that we do affects each other, and what we do to the planet affects us because we live on it. It's all interrelated. So all this time people have been feeling like it's not going to affect me if I pollute this or I do this. It's not going to affect me. Now it's affecting every single last person, including the richest of the rich. I think this is a lesson from Mother Nature. I feel like people don't respect Mother Nature. Even in this situation, people keep talking about God. This is not God. This is Mother Nature. We live on Mother Earth. Let's not forget that. Mother, mother, mother. Let's respect that. We're all being forced to take it back to basics. So either you're going to learn how to take care of yourself and take care of yourself, or you're probably peril, because this is may the strongest survive type shit right now. Trust me. Okay? So if you don't follow me on Instagram, follow me at _body_scientist. And if you don't follow me on YouTube, follow me at TheBodyScientist81. I'll be doing more videos tomorrow. Stay tuned and take a look at the other videos that I posted below. Okay, people, stay healthy. Do the best that you can to stay sane, okay? And more conversations coming soon. Bye.